Hi, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a back and forth feature from Bill Yarrow and Bob Lawrence. Give it up. Oh yeah! I could go on at great length and explain all of the details about the two of them, but I thought I would just read this one poem and then call the two of them up here. This is called The Page, dedicated to inspiration. And you would still appear in the page. I'd hold it in my hand, rippling waves in the pages before me. A dorsal fin of a shark circling my head, watching its prey. I could touch the page and still feel the rose I threw over the mahogany box in the November cold. The grass covered with ice, crackling every time I took a step toward you. I could still feel the pain in that paper, and I could still feel the cold marble freezing my fingers. And the etched message on that stone could still take hold of me the way you did. All I had to do was look at your writing and feel the blood rush, feel your breath on my neck, feel that fist jumping out from that page and hitting me in the face. I could feel it. I could feel 1,000 wars fought and won on your page, in your words. I could feel your hot breath pushing up against my neck. I could feel your hands taking my shoulders, throwing me back in my chair. I would look at your paper and see out the window the masses rising, rioting in the streets. I can feel the tide rising from your thoughts. What do you possess? What have you been through to give you such a gift? I look back at the page and begin to feel your hand from under the page, from in the desk, razor in hand, shoving up through the fiber, slicing at the air, trying desperately to get to me. And I get up from my desk, walk over to the bathroom, almost like memorization. I feel nothing but the drive you felt. In the mirror, there are cuts on my face. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Yarrow and Bob Lawrence.
Hey, if I'm making people feel like that, maybe I should stop with the mafia dress.
Oh, I see. We're not wearing hats tonight, huh?
Especially for New York.
Thank you, Janet. And thank you for all of you who...
we are wearing hats.
Thank you for all of you who came tonight. And thanks for all who read at the open mic. Bob and I are very happy to see all of you here. And we're excited about our co-features tonight. Okay. All right.
Bill, when I do a show, it's not just a reading, it's an event.
Yeah.
All right.
When I do a reading, it's a reading.
Event.
Reading.
Event.
Reading.
Bill, it's time to open up, expand your horizons. Break out of the paper shell that you've woven from every obscure literary magazine in the country. Uncage your creativity.
Bob, you gotta can the fatuous razzle-dazzle. You gotta let the poetry speak. This isn't vaudeville. It's a reading. It's a poetry reading. Look, the value...
The value of a gift.
The value of unwrapping a gift is not determined by the wayward paper of its waxy glitter.
Ooh. So you want to duel with analogies, huh? You know, you can't get a rise out of a fat mountain with a flimsy firecracker.
Gesundheit.
Let the clouds part and let the sunbeams shine through. Let me ask my agent what he thinks of this. Hello, everyone. They love me. I know. Tonight would be super, but Bill's a party pooper.
I'm not a party pooper, but let's get to the poetry.
We gotta do event too. In fact,
Did you notice that we've done an event to begin with?
Okay, enough event. Let's do poetry.
Okay, you win.
Hey, Bob, we both win. How about we bounce poems off each other? Let's do a poetry wheel.
yeah.
Hurry! Oh, Sam, he signaled you had a question.
What's a poetry wheel?
It's a non-alcoholic poetry slam.
Descended from the medieval torture wheel.
Oh God! They're boring me to death! Please stop!
If the poems are good, the wheel rolls.
Yeah! Alright.
Right?
Well, you can go first then. It was your idea.
Okay, this is called There's No Crying in Poetry. There's no crying in poetry. There's no crying in poetry, says Coach Bukowski, barnacle gnarled, stomping on the ground behind third base. But the poetry pitcher is crying. The poetry catcher is sobbing. The poetry shortstop is bawling. The poetry center fielder is doubled over, weeping bitterly. Bukowski shakes his head. Jesus, how the hell did I wind up here? He yells, hey, there's no crying in fucking poetry. You hear me? But no one on the poetry team is listening. But in the beer garden across the street, the bar poets wearing gloves are looking up. At the ball, sailing toward them, they raise their hands above their heads and call out, I got it. No, I got it. I said I got it. Then collide, lie like kinks in a tangled hose. The ball lands and takes a bad hop, hits the barmaid smack in the lip. Don't you cry. Don't you dare, she hears Bukowski saying, and though it really hurts, and though she really wants to, she doesn't.
All right. As you see, we kind of have the order sort of planned in advance. We're not pulling from our stashes of poetry, but we actually did do a wheel where we bounced off one another. Okay? And this one is a poem about poetry. It's advice to the poet from the Sunday Slam audience at the Green Mill. Those guys like to throw back a few. Dear poet, don't bore me. I didn't pay $6 cover to come here and snooze. I'm here for literary jolt cola, raised to the E equals MC squared power. I want exploding scoreboards, drum thumping, boo bouncing parades. I want to see the 4th of July humping New Year's Eve. I want to view the entire adult population hooked up to orgasmatron machines, each machine topped by wires with writhing sparks. A cinemascopic landscape of electric pleasure where nation makes nation with peace and war is forever rendered an archaic cuss word. Yeah. Frazzle me, dazzle me, hustle me, nuzzle me, stun me with a pun, wow me with a noun, make me frown, hose me down. But don't confuse me with obscurity, because when you suss the drift and I don't, that sucks. Erotic stuff is okay, but put a clamp on the bodily fluids and can the anatomy lesson. I already know what part is what. Bob, you better know your part. You're on stage, act for God's sakes. Wear a mask, do a dance. Take a stance, hoist a lance, and joust with corporate greedaholics. Tell them let's make the U.S. #1 in health and welfare instead of wealth and warfare and per capita murder. Stay tough till the end. Don't weaken or waver. Make my deepest dreams soar in exultation, rocket my imagination, so I want to leap up on stage with you. Side by side, word axes in hand, we'll crash the doors of perception and trash whatever stops us from living in the perfection of true freedom. This isn't just poetry, baby. It's performance. One last request. Tomorrow's mundane Monday. Venomous alarm clock. Blank faces at train stop. Thoreau said 90% of us live our lives in quiet desperation. Touch me, poet. Make me believe Thoreau was wrong. Make me feel my life is strong. Make my world resonate with wonder. Help me discover the poetic thunder within me. Sincerely, your audience.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to riff on your idea of advice. This is called laundry list. Water all the flowers in the graveyard. Avoid the blisters in the casserole. Of the serious and the serene, marry frivolity. Get as much sueño de la raison as possible. Keep a safe place at a safe distance. Squeegee the walls of the shower of your mind. Don't confuse the virtues of bananas with the virtues of banana bread. Give God 2 weeks' notice. Straighten up geographically. Retool, reframe, repudiate, retreat. Do the left thing.
And reacting to a safe place, I have this poem that I wrote we had a prompt for one of the pentathlons: too dumb to steal, too ugly to prostitute. That's a tough prompt, but I assume a different persona. I will be Mary Jo in this one. Jason, sitting at the edge of the bed in his underwear, holding a can of beer, the snake tattoo on his arm beaded with sweat. Jason staring out with blank eyes like he was in the middle of a cloud. Jason laid off after 10 years at the plant. No warning and no severance pay. Come here, he said, tapping the bed sheets, phony tenderness concealing his anger. I answered him with a get out of here wave. JC, baby, you're not getting laid tonight. Not after what you said to me at dinner. You ain't bringing in no money, Mary Jo. Too dumb to steal, too ugly to prostitute. I never stole a thing, except that one time at work. And it wasn't a dumb plan. Had a perfect duplicate made of the ring. I wanted that diamond so bad. Dreamed about it at night. Dreams more vivid than any daydreams about winning the lottery. Jason never gave me no engagement ring. I exchanged the rings while no one was looking. I don't know how the store dick caught me. The boss calls me in. I like you, Mary Jo, so we're not gonna press charges. Just return the real diamond ring, and you never worked here, okay? 5 years of my life down the drain. Okay. The Lord didn't shape me to be a hooker. Too much like a pear, not enough up here, too much down here. And if I ever wore those high-heel platform shoes, I'd fall down. Hey, but with a little makeup, I'm not ugly. Let's say I had something to prove to old Jace. After he fell asleep, I slipped 220s out of his wallet, slipped into my best dress, slipped off my wedding ring, and drove to Rush Street. And there was my mark at the end of the bar. Mr. Middle-aged suit, tie untied, face sagging, drowning his woes in fancy cocktails. When he stepped outside for a smoke, I did too. Asked for a light and started talking. With men, you just gotta listen to their shit. And make them think you think they're attractive. Especially if you're 15 years younger. Rub the top of your foot against their leg and they turn on like a light bulb. We took a cab to Harold's condo. Having another man was different, but in essence, very much the same. Harold, naked, stretched out in bed, snoring, holding 2 pillows like a lover. Harold, are your dreams happier than your life? People at work taking credit for what you do? Your fiancée dumping you a month before the wedding? Her teddy bear still perched on your dresser like a guardian angel? I am not asleep, Harold. I am all dressed. and I'm taking 250s from your wallet. I will send one of them to my husband with a note informing him I successfully stole this 50 from my first John. I will take a cab to my car and drive to my sister's. I don't know whether I will ever see you again. I don't know what direction my life will take. But I do know that Jason will never again say to me, "You're too dumb to steal, too ugly to prostitute."
Okay, I'll pick up on your tattoo. This is called Tariff Happy. Be subversive in your chores. Knock at the door of indecency and demand to be let in. Factor in your final calculations, the weight of longing among the self-assured. Do not fob off. Keep a second set of books for Raphael. Inculcate imprudence. Wash with emotion, then with good soap. Expose those for whom freedom is greed. Scour the future so as to inure it. Keep lists. Change the air in your protocol every time you crave a tattoo. Lock your knees before you do anything wily. Wear linen at funerals. Hands off the secret levers of the world. Watch out for the kids of Narcissus.
Anyway, this is kind of in response. Bill's metaphors are just fabulous. They kind of open up like fractals, So this is a little piece called Seeing Like a Poet. My friend Bill looks at a wall and sees metaphors. I look at the same space and see paint on drywall. One day I stole his MD glasses. M is for metaphor. I put them on and gazed at my living room wall. I saw Rimbaud's dandruff. I saw Kafka's tears. I saw Dolly's toenail cheese. I looked longer, harder. The glasses began to hum like the monolith in 2001. I saw glistening neuronal networks, interlocking lattices of blood vessels, a skeleton mouthing a slice of toast, a 12-string guitar with frets of fire, the history of a castle in Scotland written on a decaying gourd, human life as a jigsaw puzzle scattered by a giggling child. I yanked off the glasses, snuck them back into their slot in Bill's attaché case. He noticed my bloodshot psyche and told me, you want to take it?
Keep your greasy paws off my fucking glasses. All right, so I want to pick up on glasses and also on neurons. This is called Not Enough Sin to Go Around.
Are you sure?
Inevitability, it's what's for dinner. Step lively through the arrogance of landscape. Step decisively across the minefield of joy. Tread independently the airport road. Treat your neurons with respect. Do I have a second? It takes only one grain of sand to sabotage the aperture, to desolate the lens. Place your glasses in a vial of acid. The frames dissolve apace. When information fails, there is always information theory. When the future falters, there is always the redacted past.
The redacted past brings to mind the poem you've all been waiting for. 5 meditations on zombies and mummies. 1. We laugh, claims Henri Bergson, philosopher of the life force, when we see the mechanical in the living. For instance, a fluidly moving man steps on a banana peel and falls like a toppled lamb. What happens then when we see the mechanical in a living thing returned from the dead? We laugh and we shake with dread. 2. Could a zombie or mummy actually walk upon the ground beneath our feet? No. They are such things as dreams are made on. Phantasmagoria, symbolic of life. Life so tenacious, it claws through a coffin and 6 feet of dirt. So tenacious, it reanimates ancient flesh with tea from 9 canna leaves. Thus, by the corollary of dream logic. The I am inside us must live on, though our bodies decay to dust. 3. Zombies and mummies are also personifications of death and the moribund past. Creatures as ugly and ungainly as the very process of dying, their jagged motions and relentless stalking, shattering the thick walls we place between consciousness and that acidic awareness special to us humans of inevitable personal annihilation. 4. Were zombies and mummies somehow to burst from nightmare onto the fields and streets of terra firma, their threat would be comical. Zombies versus Humvees and tanks? Splat! Even the wheelchair-bound could flee from a clomping mummy. Those guys are walking fire hazards. Mummy meets acetylene torch. Vegas and physics are betting on the torch. 5. The enduring allure of zombies and mummies, akin to the magnetic pole of a roadside fatality, lies in their oxymoronic, double-edged sword symbolism. No surprise here. Doesn't the newborn child represent life in its potential, while simultaneously, through sweet bird flutter breaths, whisper of heavenly death to those of us who are closer to the end than the beginning?
Well, since you mentioned zombies and mummies and coming back from the dead, I'm going to read my poem, Resurrection Happens. The doctor said it was walking pneumonia, but Sid knew better. He hadn't he, suffered trauma when Marguerite died of AIDS. Jesus, he was in a coma, except he could see and hear and feel, walk around and talk. Damn it, it was a kind of walking coma. One where he could remember, but not exactly remember. Communicate, but not really communicate. Exist, but not fully exist. Then one day, all the symptoms just vanished. He stopped using, got his CDL, drove to Reno, married a dealer, agreed to raise her kid. It's possible to forgive the past its trespasses. Stop seeing the future as a threat. Reimagine the present as a goal. Yes, resurrection happens.
From trauma, coma, and threat, we have a new persona, the shooter. Anger beats in me like a second heart, burns in me like an eternal flame. You cannot understand my anger. My anger will annihilate your words and your tissue paper morality. I see children lined up in their chairs like ducks in a shooting arcade. I will go to the killing store where guns are lined up like loaves of bread on grocery store shelves. I will choose semi-automatics that feel molded for my hands and matching bullets that crush bones. I will go to school dressed like a soldier. Or I could go to a movie theater, or a workplace, or a house of worship, or a spa, coffee shop, funeral home, a nightclub, a hospital, a courthouse, soccer field, recruiting station, military base, a restaurant, mall, post office, parking lot, supermarket, city hall, loan office, railroad train, somebody's home, or some new place I have not visited in recent years. Children are my favorites, because when I take them out, it's like I'm shooting you too. Your women weep, your men shake their fists in useless rage. You lionize the victims, honor their lives, glamorize their petty accomplishments, romanticize the resilience of your communities, and demonize my glories. You vow things will change, but you accomplish nothing. Deny me the tools I need to execute my anger that is beyond your cowardly capabilities.
That guy scares me.
Yeah, that is scary. Well, the anger that you talk about in that poem is a kind of madness. So I'm going to read a poem about madness, and this one is entitled A New Kind of Madness. In my youth, I was enamored of the moon. that is to say, lunacy. I applauded the bizarre in nature. I appropriated the gratuitous from dreams. I drank brashness and frenzy from books. What mad things I did, throwing a bucket of water on a naked couple in the bed. What mad things I said, telling you your heart was filled with flies. What mad things I wrote, unlisted bliss is insistence interstice. Then Thomas went mad and threw himself under a bus. Then Liat hanged herself. Then Miko couldn't stop laughing and died. So I became careful. I monitored my sadness. I governed my excitement. I trimmed all my excess. I ramped up my sensible brain. And now I am old and reminiscent. And like Funes, I remember it all. Thanksgiving in New Orleans. Easter in Delphi. New Year's Eve in Prague. Halloween in Madison. President's Day in Bangalore. Labor Day in Perth. But in my visionary senescence, I am haunted by a new kind of madness, a dementia of time, memory unmoored from chronology, memory stripped of its ardor, memory reduced to obtuseness.
My agent wants to say that.
It's getting too heavy, Bobby. We need a break.
It's a poetry house. What do you want, Sam?
What are you doing with that hat? You want the light to shine off your bald head and light up the audience. Oh. But anyway, we need a break. Sam, it's artistic. I have art.
You do?
Yes.
All right, Sam. Let's see what you got.
George O'Keeffe.
Yes, that's art, all right.
It's that's true art.
Yes, they rhyme. They rhyme. Yes. A couple.
But anyway, actually, I'm going to bounce off of what Sam just did and do a poem called Stieglitz, which ties into the illustration we saw. Stieglitz, in his famous photo of wife Georgia O'Keeffe, showcases her hand. Subtle curved blend of convex and concave, multi-shaped as frost on a window pane, moon mysterious with hidden side, ridged knuckles, gleaming tendons, grasping, extending like an animal alive, webbed over the heart, the hand intones, vulnerability, strength, and sense of essential self. This is the hand that paints vaginal flower petals, abstracts and landscapes of bold shape and color bright, that reach behind the viewer's eyes. This the hand that splashes love touch across Stieglitz's body, naked with the passion of art and the wonder of love. The hand, so complex, so expressive, so undeniably human, but all the guys stare at her boobs.
The link between the poem you just read and the poem I'm going to read is anatomical. This is called Augustinian Prayer Sonnet. Studious, yes, but hardly smart. Her breasts were larger than her heart. He kissed her tits and thought of art, Memling, Cressida, Jean-Paul Sartre, of marriages which fall apart when whores are put before Descartes, of guilts which stain but do not smart, of sad bullseyes that long for darts. And so he took her bra apart and took her tits into his heart, into his mouth, into his art. The taste less sweet than it was tart, an act more foolish than was smart, which Christ had told him from the start.
That really resonates,
Hey, I just noticed, your poems are a lot longer than my poems.
You just noticed. Well, you know why, Bill?
That's because your titles are a lot longer. I have to make up with, the poem itself. But hey, I have an idea. My next poem, which is probably longer than your next poem, I'll let you read it. And magically, it's appeared in your in your script there. Okay.
So we're going to alternate lines.
Yes, we're going to alternate lines.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
What's it called?
The now. The now is the wet nose of a kitten nuzzling against your neck.
The now is a joke whose every word is its punchline.
The now is the tail of a cow waving behind a wooden fence beneath a cloud-crazed sky.
The now is the ever-present hush of background sound.
The now is the quantum crackle of the ever-restless mind.
The now is her butterfly fingers fluttering across my skin.
The now is a sandwich with an invisible middle.
The now is the speed of time, more variable, but also more inexorable than the speed of light.
The now is the blaring car alarm that won't let you sleep.
The now is the sound of 3 hands clapping.
The now is frozen freefall, but look closely how it melts at the edges.
The now is a paradox without a resolution.
The now is the source, absolver, and destroyer of myth.
The now is a strawberry turned inside out.
The now is the nothing that is all there is.
The now is the nuance of nonsense.
The now is the solution to every problem, and the problem with no solution.
You take half of this one. This is called...
As has magically appeared on my sheet.
Magic. This is called time. Time is the fragrant jelly spread out on the black bread of eternity.
Time is the gravy of the bloody roast beef of emptiness.
Time is the slime on the original skin of infancy.
Time is the Vedic lining of the popular soul.
Time's the proxy messiah of the world.
Time is the meconium of God. Okay. Now, I do write long poems, but I also write very, very ultra short ones. No, they're not in honor of my height, Bill. That was a line I gave him that he didn't want to do, so. See how nice a guy he is. He's a great guy, all right. But anyway.
There's a very interesting poem about height in the new anthology called Skylines from the Poets Club of Chicago, and it's by Larry Janowski. It's a very, very amusing poem, and I learned all kinds of facts this afternoon reading it, one of which was that Alexander Pope was 4 feet 7 inches.
Hey, Beethoven was like, I've seen estimates from 5'2" to 5'4".
Yeah.
These factoids will launch you to the...
Anyway, one of my little genres is the one-letter poem, and I'm going to do 2 one-letter poems. The world's shortest, non-conceited poem. You. The wellspring of philosophy. Why?
Well, from your you and why, I'm going to go to I and eyes, and this one is called Eyes Off the Road. One by one, I lost my desires. Dirty ambition left first. Knowledge raged, but then it cooled. Riches never had the hook very deep. Achievement, uncoupled from success, seemed pointless. Friendship became recursive. Appetite lost its urgency. Form declined into artifice. Love stopped feeding me, so I stopped feeding it. Insight evaporated when memory left. Lust lingered longest. My desires, gaily arrayed, bolted to a lapis slab, await me in heaven. With any luck, I'll go to hell.
And this is a poem called, Has Anyone Seen My Keys? The image bank has foreclosed. Ink blots blot out the landscape. The corpse of Severland runs amok. Non-pareil non-senescence prevails. The grass is green with envy. The sun is yellow with fright. The moon is silvered with wisdom. A mountain on Mars claims bragging rights. I thought I left them on the bookcase.
I'm gonna riff on nonpareil non-senescence. This is called Vacuum City. Imagine not emptiness, but plenitude denuded. An apple made entirely of skin, an orange made inherently of rind. Bees from the scabrous canvas of fulgent wastrels and transcendental madmen. This is the exegesis nomenclature mentioned in the Hound of Heaven. What chaos comes from insufficiency? What else can calcify dreams? A man walks on a balsa board laid across a trenchant ditch. He is upheld by wires attached to the skyhooks of your childhood. He is whistling Mussorgsky and regretting his decision to pursue his education indefinitely. As he reaches the other side, he sees 3 birds in 3 separate trees. The nest of his heart is replenished with confusion.
A poem called Promise. They pulled the string in the back of my neck to make me speak. Instead, my skin fell off, exposing a hilly landscape dotted with cities in a night as clear as a plucked string. Ground lights visible for miles formed innumerable patterns, while searchlights sent their thin crossing beams into the sky in anticipation of your arrival.
I'll take off from A Night as Clear as a Plucked String. This is called Sermon of Lilac. Our text today is "The night was a cool bowl of lilac darkness" from Look Homeward Angel by the American writer Thomas Wolfe. The night was a lilac bowl of darkness. The dark was a sky of lilac coolness. The bowl was a darkened sky of lilacs. Lilacs bowed in the sky's cool darkness. The sky was a liquid bowl of darkness. The dark was a sky of liquid lilac. The bowl was a lilac source of coolness. Lilacs genuflect in the darkness.
Beautiful.
Inspired by your sky, I have this haiku. Nighthawks cross the gathering thundercloud. Mosquito bite.
My poem is also about the gathering thundercloud, but in a figurative, not a literal way. This is called When the Translator Disappears, the Translation Withers and Dies. The kidnapping of the translator made big news for a short time, but then the general incomprehensibility of things resumed, and everyone except Lorraine went back to work. Lorraine refused to extend the futility of human communication. What was the point, she wanted to know? What was the point of speaking if now that the translator had been kidnapped, no one could decipher what she or anyone else had to say? Lorraine could not fathom how people could return to work. How was work even possible, she wondered. An iron silence began to oppress her as she slept. It crept into her body, and she felt herself incapable of raising her arms in greeting or to ward off a blow. She sank deep into bitterness, dreading the dawn and the sight of neighbors, egregious in their pretense of meaningful speech. She pined for the return of the translator, who became messianic in her eyes. Her dreams became denuded of images, infused only with 2 lines of unvarying dialogue. Come back to me. Can't you see I've never left? It was the translator speaking. He was holding her in his arms. He was looking at her with the tenderness she'd so terribly craved, and she felt suddenly, as if for the first time, understood. And she understood perfectly, the repressed caress of words that poured from his mouth.
This next poem contends that long poems are also meaningful speech, not only short ones. 2 cheers for long poems. Yes, I like long poems. I'd rather juggle 5 balls instead of 1. Must every poem be sung by a lone singer? Why not the poem as motet, cantata, oratorio, or as a syntactic, synaptic circus? Do you really prefer the mono-mood, monotone of the industrial strength lyric poem? But poems should compress, not expand. Long poems can compress with the best. They can compress even more because there's more to compress. And yes, a subtext is still there, vast and deep and dark, like the Carlsbad Caverns, fed by underground streams of blood, water, and the unknown.
My final poem will be a compressed poem about another kind of water. It's called Patriot Axe, A-X-E. A month after the Mumbai hotel attack, my 3 brothers, acceding to my mother's wishes to forego further treatment, arranged for a medical van to transport her to my sister's house in South Jersey, where we all stood around her bed like dullards in a maze. This is an act of love, they said. And I thought, well, if this is love, then everything is love. We were all there, the dowdy, robust husbands, the infirm wives, the incendiary kids. At the final moment, she sat bolt upright, her bloodshot eyes bulging, her jaw jutted forth in a crazed look of anger and confusion. Then, as if in slow motion, she fell straight back against the high-stacked pillows and receded like a wave, bleeding back into the ocean.
And picking up on an act of love, I'll close with love poem. What is it about love that it rules over song lyrics as surely as churchgoers dominate the political scene? Why not tunes about peaches or pizza? What is it about love that singers of love songs, more taken by themselves than the song's beloved, sound as real as artificial frosting? What is it about love that when you're caught in its savage, sweet gales, the frosting melts, and all the song lyrics taste of true? What is it about love so natural and basic, yet lovers sense triumph over niceties and norms and yearn to boast to the entire world? What is it about love, its central act carnal and messy, that it craves delicacy, lace fringes and flower petals, cherubs and multifaceted diamonds? What is it about love that it is simultaneous spawner of our most acute joys and our darkest betrayals? Two-faced Janus, Jekyll and Hyde. What is it about love that when I look into your eyes, I see sensuous circles, bedrooms and cloakrooms, tigers and tempests, lava lakes and glaciers, flamingos dancing flamenco, auroras shining in a daylight sky, a child's fingers, an old woman's lips, the beginning of possibility, the finale of time, and it all makes sense to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I don't think it was loud enough. Give it up one more time for Billy
Thank you, everybody.
I thought I was the only
Thanks
one.
for coming
Yeah.
and being a good open mic and everything.
No, you guys are awesome. I thought I was the only one that was coming up with,
Hey, Buddha, do a feature with me, or hey, Beth Lawrence, do a feature with me. That was awesome. It was very, very good. And now I'll have to learn that. If I do that with anybody else, we're going to do back and forth ones. That was good. I like that.
That's fun.
That was very good. I'm very pleased with that one. I was going to say, as Bill wants to write, he's got everything he wants to write, but I think 4 of his poems are in this book, which I have already sold to somebody else, so it's not mine anymore. But I have it. You can't have it, Bill. I'm sorry. You have to buy it off of Amazon or scan it on the back of this thing so you can find the printer page or anything like that. But so, yeah, he's got his, and if you've got stuff that I think is cool, I'm like, hey, go publish this. Hey, take your book, lady. Take your book, lady. She's like, yeah, I've got it. But I did want to say things about upcoming features here at this open mic, and if anybody has a shout out they want to do for something, please let me know. I think Elizabeth Marino might be one of them. And everybody's all excited.
Janet's talking. Wait.
I'm like, everybody's like, blah, blah, blah.
She lost control.
I lost control. Everybody's all freaking happy that the feature's over. No, they're not looking the feature's over. What's
The
the matter?
creator of the wheel is right here. Take a bow.
Take a bow. Well, I will tell you, in 2 weeks from now, from tonight, the last one, as far as I know, 2014, that's going to be from 11 till 9 p.m., has Buddha 309.
That's cool.
Oh, yes, the feature. And I know if he's not able to make it, I know he's got people that's going to be here that's going to make it, but I hope all goes well, but this is his night. And she's on the phone. And 2 weeks after that, in the beginning, this is where we have our bonus evening that's going on. It's not just 2 weeks, it's just shy of 2 weeks from that. On October 7th, we've got the bonus thing with the Highland of South Africa. The day after that, I know you heard a bit from Lucia Blinn. We've got Lucia Blinn and Pam Miller. And guess what? By the end of October, we even have GPA that's sharing a thing with Charlie Newman. And if you want to know anything about features, because we've got a ton of them, you can always check it out at www.catholicarts.org/thecafe. You are going to tell me about your thing. I think you were on the phone and I didn't hear you. Tell me about get a mic and come up here and say something about what's coming up for you. I had a hard time hearing because this stuff was going on. Go.
Okay, thank you. September 23rd, which is Tuesday, at Bourgeois Pig in Lincoln Park, I'll be the featured reading for Tallgrass writers. They always have an open mic as well, so it's a very intimate little venue. Yeah, some of you have been featured there yourselves, so you can.
And this Saturday, Tallgrass has a publication party.
Yeah, that's right at the Seltzer Library.
The Robies and I are going to be reading there.
I'm in it too.
Yeah, the Robies been on Fullerton for about.
Right, but there's also I'm also doing something, as I mentioned before, for Chicago Calling. It's going to be the 9th of October, which is a Thursday night, the 9th of October. It's at a Cup and Spoon Coffee House, which is on North Avenue, just immediately west of Western Avenue, starting at 6 o'clock. I'm chock full of poets, including Janet, who's going to be performing there.
It's a busy week because on that Tuesday we got the How Man show, and if anyone else would be doing anything for Chicago Calling, you could join this guy from the other side of the freaking world to do performance art stuff, and then we've got a poetry open night the next night on Wednesday night, and then we got Thursday night with this great show.
Yeah, it's a really great show.
And you have Lucia and Pam Miller co-featuring in October, right?
Yes, I did. But we were talking about things that were other than this thing. But and you had stuff going on, and people mentioned this weekend, and I guess I should say that I happen to be featuring this Friday. 2 days from now, count them, 1, 2. I guess I'm going to have to get ready for that. But I'm going to be reading periodic table poems. And yes, Joffrey, one of them is going to have a sampling from you. But I will, if you're not going to be there for it, I'll do it in 2 weeks. I'll have Dubnium with bombs in the building or whatever. I keep saying I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to have some sampling from you in there, I swear. But that's going on at Let Them Eat Chocolate at 300 North Damon. 5306, the man knows.
High school, my alma mater.
The man knows his directions, and they have really good chocolate. Because the last time I was like, oh, yummy, It is. It's very good. It's not fair how good it is. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for coming. And I hope in 2 weeks I will see you from 9 to 11 for Buddha 309. Thank you, thank you, thank you.